Welcome to Rewind with Ellen. I'm your host, Ellen J. Wanjiro.
And I'm our co-host, Ro Carter. How are you, Ellen?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day, man. I started to lose steam like about 5 o'clock, and I was like, what can I do to pick my energy up? So I had a cocktail. So I'm feeling I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I just took a nap. That's what I did. I took a
Good
power
for
nap.
you.
It's dark now, right? At like
Yes.
4:30. So now you're like, we're gonna do a show at what time?
Right.
Yes.
And probably that's what I was thinking too, because it was pitch black at night. And I'm like, I feel like I should be sleeping now. Like it's time for bed, but there's like a whole other situation happening. Anyway, welcome. Thank you for tuning in as always. So today we are back to regular scheduled programming with Our Kind of People, which is a season we've been following very closely. And so today we are chatting it up about episodes 6 and 7, really about 7, but we'll be pulling bits and pieces from 6 as it relates to certain areas in 7. 7 was lit. Episode 7 was lit. It was what? Fathers, Daughters, Sisters was the name of this episode. And a fun fact, it was directed by Joe Morton, who plays Teddy Franklin in the show. And it makes perfect sense now because episode 7 had a lot of drama going on. It was just nonstop excitement, very heightened. And that corresponds with Joe Morton and the characters that he's played. I read somewhere that he's actually directed an episode of 2 of Scandal, the Olivia Pope / Kerry Washington series. So I loved this episode because it was just nonstop, awesome drama. So this episode focuses on Teddy, really, after his latest health crisis. He suffers from a mild heart attack. And then we also see Angela and Leah bond over their newfound common enemy, Melissa DeSouza's character, Alex Rivera. We love to hate her. And then Tyreek looks to Aunt Piggy for answers about his father. So let's start off with Leah and Angela and their awesome relationship, or the making of the awesome relationship that we're seeing. Before I continue rambling on, Ro, why don't you jump in? What are your 2 cents about Leah and Angela's connection?
It's genuine, and even though Leah has the inside scoop, with their dad, like he's like, I'm gonna play all these sides and work something out. She's like, no. She really just wants to work hard for her daughter and for her business. And so you're seeing their bond as, Leah said, I was the only child, now it's nice to have someone that has my back and that's with me there. And you see that later, as things get heated up, how they bond even more. So I like it. It's
Yeah, same here. I mean, the evolution of Leah's relationship with Angela and Angela's with Leah, I think it's been very genuine from day one, right? It started off, hating, like they hated each other to some degree. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but certainly Leah held some contempt for Angela. And Angela was just always responding to Leah's reaction to her. So to see it from how it started to where it is now, it just makes me, it gives me warm feelings inside. And to your point, it's incredibly genuine. And it lends to the story's arc, right? Sisters who hated each other, didn't know each other, but now they do. And they are forming a genuine and very natural sisterly bond. And I loved this scene, and I'm taking it all the way to the end really quickly, when Teddy says to them, my girls, right? And you kind of see them respond to that. And that just warmed my heart when you think about how important it is to have a relationship with your father, especially as a girl. So it's pretty dope. And so Alex Rivera's character, Melissa, played by Melissa D'Souza. So, and I think I spoke to you about this yesterday, to see the difference with how Leah is responding to Alex versus how she responded to Angela. There's a little bit of difference there. Have you been able to pick up on any of that? Or is it just in my head?
Yeah, you used to be on my man. What do you mean?
No doubt. No doubt. But listen, Leah's going to show up how she's going to show up regardless. Shout out to Nadine Ellis for playing the hell out of this character. But when it comes to shade and the passive aggressive jabs and the overtly aggressive jabs, it's been the same. It's always been the same. But the way it's directed to Alex, while there's some similarities of the passive aggressive jabs that she had with Angela, obviously we recognize that it's coming from a different source. So how do you feel about Alex's character? Do you sympathize with her, or are you kind of like, I don't believe you. We need more people.
So I don't blame Alex's character at all. Here's the problem. Raymond opened up the door.
Ooh, yes, he did.
Yeah, and you know what, player? Ain't nothing worse than a woman scorned. And then that whole envelope opens up about their history. And I wanted to ask you personally, we get into a little bit more, how you felt about that, that love connection, and then it was taken away from you, and you thought it was a genuine, like, hey, it's over, but it was because my parents are going to get deported. I mean, whoo, I was like, damn, I don't know. So did you ever lose or fall out of love with that person, especially when you find out something like that, that's so revealing? That was deep.
Yeah, that was really deep, which kind of leaves the door open for, will that ever be rekindled, especially now that things between Leah and Raymond are super rocky because of what Raymond has created, the chaos that he's created. If I were in that position, obviously feelings don't ever go away because they were torn apart by Raymond's parents. So I get why Alex is, more than happy to step back into Oak Bluffs after she was banished however many years ago. I get why she's happy to come back and obviously help her ex that she's never really stopped loving. And the saddest part about that whole dynamic is God only knows what they could have been if Olivia didn't, write her a check to get the hell out of Dodge and then force her.
The next Teddy
right.
2.0.
Right, with Alex, right. And then not only did she write a check for Alex to kick rocks, but, I'll get your parents deported if you don't leave. So it's like, what are you going to do? You don't want your parents deported. So, I'm going to have to chunk up the deuces.
Or do you?
Or am I like, F my parents, I'm staying with the man.
I'm just saying. I love it. I'm just saying though.
It depends on the relationship I have with my parents. I guess if it's rocky, then deuces. I'll see y'all back wherever it is we came from. But her making that decision to not have her parents deported speaks to her character and speaks to her integrity, right? So it's not just about a man. I care about family.
She didn't cash the check.
And she didn't cash the check. So she's a real woman?
If I'm Raymond, I'm like, damn, that's right. Because you don't know what the numbers were. There's only there's two checks that were given by the ladies in the show. And the first one, everybody was like, ooh, are you going to give me that check for this donation? $250? Right. Okay. And then there's the other. Exactly. So we don't know what the numbers were. They look like big numbers. The face, like, oh, really? They gave you that much to get out of Dodge? So I respect her because hey, I'm starting on my own again. I'm starting from scratch. Right. I could use this money. Nothing wrong with that. But no, I love you. I still love you. I still love you. So that spoke volumes. And so now you've let her back in. She's like, I'm just going to destroy everything at this point.
Everything. I mean, she did say those are a lot of zeros on that check. So we're probably talking like maybe a mil, like a lot of zeros is up there with the mill. Like if she didn't take that, yikes. I don't know. I'm taking it.
I'm taking the mill. I'm telling you right now. I'm taking it.
I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to Rashad, who's in the building. He says, hey, fam. Hey, Rashad.
What up, Rashad? What up, player?
Welcome. So Rashad, we're talking about episode 7 of Our Kind of People while kind of dipping back into episode 6. And so, all right, so moving on to Nate Robinson's character, who's played by McKinley Freeman. Sheesh. So I want to say this. I love how episode 6 ended with Nate walking through the Franklins, their home, the front door of their home, just as Teddy was passed out on the floor with Tyreek over him. Like, what a dope scene. You have Angela's current, boo, her father, who she just found out was her father, and then her baby daddy / ex prisoner walking through this house, and just to see those 3 men in that scene, I thought was so dope. as brief as it was really dope. And it was such an awesome setup for the beginning of episode 7.
Past, present, and possibly
Yes.
future.
Yes. Bam. Right. So, first of all, I'm a huge fan of McKinley Freeman. I love him as an actor, and I love his storyline in Our Kind of People because it has some depth to it. Here's a man who spent 17 years in prison, sheesh, and never got to connect with his child, his newborn daughter, who's now 17 years old, Nikki, who's played by Alana Bright. And then is it confirmed that Angela basically told Nikki that he died? Rashad, do you have any intel on that, or did Angela just say he's not around?
I think I'm gonna change my story to he's not around after watching that episode again.
Okay.
I think they said as a kid he's just not not in the picture. But Rashad, you're gonna test us today,
right? Holla back, Rashad. Because I want to say, to your point when we spoke earlier, that I feel like I remember Angela saying something that she told Nikki that he died, which is so foul. Like,
I thought it was, but I could
not.
be, because they didn't reiterate that. When she said it, I just said he wasn't around as a kid, and Grandma said the same thing, and so did her aunt. So all of them are on the same kind of page, which is interesting.
Yeah. And so I loved the scene when Angela brings Nate food, right? So first of all, let's just quickly talk about Teddy's motive to get Nate back in the picture. Like, I thought initially, like, it was coming from a good place, and then of course we find out that it's all to break up Tyreek and Angela. So it's like, can Teddy ever do anything with the right motive coming from a good place? But this episode kind of touched on, there is some genuineness that comes from Teddy, but he's conflicted internally. And we see that a lot in this episode, but I digress. So the scene where Angela brings Nate food is he's in his room, and he shares the backstory of his dreads. What did you think of that moment? What he said, because he spit some very profound words. First of all, before the ceremony of cutting of the dreads, what he says to Angela in the room about him sleeping on the floor and all that. Do you remember?
Yeah, that was deep. I did the quote of when they're cutting the hair, but that whole part, hey, I've been doing this for 17 years, so it's hard to break out of those habits. That's so deep, and it resonates, I think, with a lot of people out there that have been either locked up for false imprisonment and just trying to figure your life out. It reminded me almost like the Central Park 5, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine these men, like, their childhood gone, and like, how do you adapt to society now? As a grown man, like, what do I do? Forget how much money I'm getting out, after the lawsuit and stuff, but like, just how do I function as an everyday human being, right? Like, I have this nice bed, I can afford all this, but no, my comfortability is just the things that I know that are within, 5 feet of me. That's it. And so as long as I have that, I'm good and I'm comfortable. So I hope to never, ever be in that situation.
Ever.
But I love that this show always touches on things that we kind of ignore because we kind of live in these kind of lifestyles that we can avoid this. We hear about it, but until it happens to us or someone in our family, kind of just go about our business. So I kind of love that this show always touches on so many different levels of Black atrocities and also just being Black in America, the good and the bad of it.
Oof, yeah, the word conditioning. The minute Nate said, "I've been conditioned," that hit a nerve with me. Just, it kind of put everything that he'd, gone through in perspective. The fact that you would now be in this big mansion and still feel like you have to sleep on the floor, speaks to the level of conditioning that, imprisoned men and women go through. And then being able to come back out and reacclimate, my God, that's a whole sentence in itself. But I loved what he said about, the 17 years of growth with his locks. I know, do you have the quote in front of you? I think it's important to shout it out. If you don't have it, I can certainly.
No, you have that one. I have the one when they're cutting the hair. I have Angela's.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
all right. So we got 2 for 2. All right. So Nate says, I started growing my locks because I felt that it was the only luxury they couldn't take away from me. I grew them out of rebellion and anger, 17 years of new growth to remind me of all the pain and shame I put you all through, talking about Angela and Nikki. And then he asks her, to help him sort of shed that pain. And that was such a profound moment. And it is what solidified my appreciation for Nate's character and his purpose on this show and his purpose in Angela's life. It was that moment that I was like, oh, okay, they might get back together. He's like kind of showing a different type of man in this particular scene, but that remains to be seen how that's going to play out. So that after that scene, it segues into the fireside, the shedding pain ritual, which I thought was beautiful as Angela cuts his dreads off. So.
And yeah, and the music that went with that fire
Yes.
pit scene, and
Yes.
and brother got his shirt off for no reason. I don't understand that.
Wait, that was for the ancestors. The ancestors that was a requirement for him to have.
Oh,
yeah.
That was for the ancestors require you to have the shirt on. Okay, all right, all right. All right. Ancestors are all just rolling around in their graves right now. Like, ooh, baby.
Literally.
So Angela, as she's cutting his hair, she goes, our ancestors taught us that our spirituality resounds not only in our hearts, but also in the crowns of our heads. When the heart grows heavy and can't hold the pain, we sometimes suffer. That pain is transferred to our hair. It's God's way of allowing us to purge our traumas, unburden our hearts, and start anew. That one right there, I was like, woo! That one. And then he stands up, brother in shape as usual. Every brother on the show, if they're under 40, they're in shape. I actually know McKinley Freeman when I used to live out in LA, and shout out to him and Lance again. These brothers have been working hard. And it's nice to see McKinley finally get some love, and I hope this blossoms into a bigger future for him, because he killed. I mean, they gave him a lot of scenes in this, and he killed it. The only thing I'm upset about is they trusted his brother a lot for him just getting out of jail to just let him roam all in the house in the estate. I was like, does he have access to everything? He just got a brand wearing linen clothes. Stressed out. I'm like, come on, man, he just got here.
I mean, that's Teddy's daughter's baby daddy. Like, he's family.
I've been to a lot of people's houses as a friend. I don't know. They look at me kind of, I don't know.
Listen, the wealthy do things differently. Because I certainly wouldn't be that, free with someone that, whatever. That's neither here nor there.
So before we move on, let me ask you something, Ellen. If that's your partner, right? So let's just say Angela is a male and cutting the hair of his ex. Would you be cool? If you're Tyreek's character, are you letting that slide? Are you okay with that? Letting them get.
I'm gonna feel how I'm gonna feel about it, but I don't know that I have the jurisdiction to say something to her, considering, to say something to my ex, considering that's the mother of his child, knowing, she just came home from prison for 17 years. So I don't know if it's as cut and dry as you better not be cutting her hair. Like, it's not that cut and dry. Also, Tyreek, the way Angela pitched it to Tyreek is, listen, I'm where I want to be. So I feel like Angela is, she's honest and she's truthful to Tyreek. But she also has a sort of an allegiance to Nate, at the very least, as a hairstylist, as a woman who nurtures and cares for Black hair. Of course, she's going to be the person to do that. Now, did he have to be shirtless? Does she have to have a bikini? Like, if it's my ex, does she have to have a bikini top on? I don't know. I don't know about that. But listen, they did that. They did that.
I know. I'm just okay. All right.
And it worked, because in that moment, I was like, Tyreek who? Tyreek where? So it worked.
Damn, Tyreek.
I know. And I like the way they set that up, because now Tyreek has been sent on a wild goose chase to figure out what happened to his father Calvin. So he's not going to be as laser focused on Angela anymore. Like, he has his own battles to try to win,
Oh,
which creates a space for Angela and Nate. Who knows?
well, also Tyreek, you should run, brother. I was thinking about this. I'm watching the episodes. I'm like, I run away from these ladies as much as possible. There's always just drama with her. Can we just have a nice day and like have a picnic and just enjoy life? There's always everything was Angela, like drama, drama, drama. Tyreek, run, run.
Hey, you know, it's funny that you brought that up, because I thought about that in one scene as she was running down the stairs. I forget what was happening in that particular scene, but I remember thinking to myself, like, yo, she is always on the go, leading to some drama. When does she get to like skip a beat and just chill for like a day or so? Like,
They ain't chilled since the water scene. They ain't, right? That's the last time they chilled. I'm stressed out. I'm like, damn, Tyreek, man, you can't get a break.
hopefully they do. I don't know. We shall see. But in that whole fireside bedroom scene or whatever, Nate gives Angela his journal to give to Nikki, his daughter. So again, that just adds on to, all right, this man got some depth. He actually, did some intense self-reflection to figure out who he is and why he is. And I always appreciate that sort of storyline. And I mean, so speaking about Tyreek, like, the poor guy, he learns about his father Calvin and how he actually died. So of course Teddy fabricated, what he'd initially told Tyreek about his dad. And so, like I said before, now Tyreek, is on a wild goose chase, and he ends up, speaking to the house manager, the Franklin's house manager, who's been there for decades. And so she knows where all the skeletons are buried. And so this is where we find out about Darius, and Darius knew Calvin, and, Darius dated Piggy. So of course, Tyreek's mind is blown. What did you think of Piggy's response?
Piggy's gangster. She been gangster since back in the day.
Right.
The best, she's like, I don't know what that is. I was like, you can't even play it off like, oh, I maybe met him a long time ago. She was like, well, back then, we were all promiscuous and just having a good time.
Basically, like, right. Did she just admit to being a hoe over that summer?
That's what I said. I was like, really? That's what you're saying? I might have met with him, maybe not, maybe yes. So, Tyreek handled like a gentleman, though, because I would be like, oh, really?
Right.
That's okay. All right. I see you. And then Piggy's like, I gotta get out of Dodge.
Back to Boston I go.
Because you saw that at the cotillion, when Teddy comes up to her, it's like, hey, you gotta be careful here. Someone might see you, and old skeletons might come out the closet up in here. And she was like, I gotta go. And then even Angela's looking at her like, you always gotta go somewhere. Like, just tell me what's going on.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, at this point, who we got to lose at this point? Yeah, so many secrets.
Big, yeah. Between Piggy and Teddy, they are holding on to a lot of heavy-ish. And I can't wait for that to come out. Really quick, I got a side swipe to Rashad, because he said something real funny. He said, Angela gives Murder, She Wrote vibes. She's always in something. That is so accurate, Rashad. Seriously. Almost like she's always solving something and got to figure something out. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, girl, can we just relax and enjoy the day?
Yeah.
Always. Oh, and I want to say one other thing. I don't know, we didn't really talk about that. We went over a little bit. But Olivia Sturgis, grandma, she was gangster in this episode as well. When she goes out, Alex, and then I was getting a massage. Next thing you know, grandma's in there like, hey, girl, didn't I tell you to get out of here? So shout out to her. Shout out her whole little wig, her purple wig. Looking like the lady from Little Mermaid.
Her with Ursula, her wig game is really tight. Like her white wig, like white purplish. I think it's so fly. I'm gonna be that old lady that.
What's that cost? That's expensive, right? That can't be cheap. You got good money. There's people working behind the scenes on that as you move. I was like, ooh, that's tight.
Yeah, Raymond's mother, Olivia, she is a whole G. Shout out to L. Scott Caldwell for playing that role to perfection. I can't believe that she actually threw hot stones at
Yes.
Alex. Like that, at that point, that's an assault. Those stones are heavy and they are hot, and she just kept throwing them like I don't even care. And I thought that was such a funny scene, but it speaks to how gangster Olivia can get. Like, let's not underestimate her. Um, I'm kind of scared of her, and I see why Raymond responds to her the way that he does. He's almost, a little timid when he comes to his mama until it has to do with his business in Darman. But other than that, everyone's just kind of under the ruling thumb of Olivia, and now we know why. I mean, anybody's mama who's going to write somebody a check and threaten to deport their parents, they're not operating on all full cylinders, like, because that's a
They
little.
will cut you. They will cut you.
Yeah, so we get to see a different side of Tyreek. Up until this episode, we've seen a very cool, calm, and collected Tyreek. So I have a feeling that's going to switch up. And so does Teddy really want that enemy with Lance, considering with Tyreek, considering Tyreek is his closest soldier as Teddy stated. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Like, how far will Tyreek go? Who knows?
Well, I don't know, because the same thing, right? If Teddy, I don't know if he was genuine with his daughters at the end of that scene, right?
Yeah.
Is he a little more of that humble pie now? Like, wow, I got to be grateful for what I have. I just want everybody to be happy. So I don't know if the old Teddy's going to still creep in or he's just like, let's bygones be bygones and go from there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to Nikki and Lauren. Oh, finally the cousins are, having some sort of peace in wartime. I love that, they share this moment when Lauren pops up at Eve's crown. Even before the pop up at Eve's crown, they actually share some words when Nikki is at the house with Teddy and they're practicing for the cotillion. I think that's the first opportunity that Lauren has to apologize to Nikki. And then fast forward, Lauren pops up at Eve's crown while Nikki's kind of going through the motions of, oh, what do I do about my father? I don't want to read this journal. But Lauren sort of helps her kind of work through that fear. So, it's nice to see, Leah and Angela sort of bridge that gap while also Nikki and Lauren are working to mend their relationship. Any thoughts on Nikki and Lauren?
So when Lauren read,
yes,
read from his what do you call that? What he has?
Journal.
The journal. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
When Lauren read from the journal, that was deep, right, and profound, because it really captured the voice, even though when Nate's voice comes in as the narrator. But to really understand her father and know that he cared about her since his first day in there and the whole time. And that's deep for anybody, right? It's like, oh my God, I didn't know someone loved me so much. Yeah. And to hear it be written down and hear it in words is huge. Another thing, though, and again, I love this show because it touches on so many things. How many times do you see positive fathers? Nate says to Raymond, to Lauren, when she's sitting there with her dad, is like, enjoy this, this moment, cherish this moment with your father, and Lauren tells Nikki later, like, I love my father more than my mom, we have this relationship where he just gets me and understands me. And, how many times do we have Black women growing up with let alone a father, but a positive Black figure in their life? And so that was a moment that was like, it needs to be, put all over the place, bulletin boards everywhere in terms of seeing this. I think if we had more of these powerful images out there and scenes like this, we will really change, the Black household and making it a whole again, and saying, yes, there are positive figures out there and people that do care about their daughters and their kids and want them to live on the right path and do the right thing so that they can start a legacy of their own.
Yeah, and I loved seeing that too. As someone who's really close with my dad, it warmed my heart to see that, and I was able to connect and relate to that. But so here's the thing about Lauren, and Rashad and I are on the same page about Lauren. While this episode we're seeing a new Lauren, like she's coming into like, realizing self-realization, like, oh crap, I'm coming across as a really horrible human being, and I want to believe her. But my spidey senses are telling me that I can't all the way trust Lauren, not yet, especially like the way she responded to Nate while she was sitting there with her father Raymond, and Nate was, upstairs, and they're talking. She was just giving a little bit too much attention to Nate. Now Nate is a fine man, and I could see Lauren just plotting. I would not be surprised if Lauren just came out of left field and tried to make a move.
You guys need to leave Lauren alone. She was going through a lot. She's coming out, and then her girlfriend cheats on her, and then all this other stuff. I mean, she's going through a lot of stuff as a young kid, and then she gets kicked out of the cotillion, then gets invited back to the cotillion. I mean, there's a lot of stress going on in this young, beautiful lady's life. Let her live, people. Rashad, let her live.
I don't believe her. She needs more people.
Oh, okay. We're doing bars now.
We're doing bars now. Well, listen, and so that's what's so good about that character. Like, she's really good at faking us out. Like, she's apologetic. Part of me believes her, but a part of me is just like, the things she did to Nikki, I don't know that that's forgivable, because that really speaks to like who you are as a person, that you would shit on somebody who's your family to that degree. You just don't automatically become a good person just overnight like that. I don't know.
She was her family, like she met an You didn't know?
I'm not buying it. Fingers crossed. Like, fingers crossed that she is the person that she's portraying herself to be right now. And honestly, shout out to what is her name? Ryan Nicole Brown, who plays Lauren. Like, she's dope. A lot of people don't know that she's a whole like singer out here, like in her real life. Like, she can sing. She has like EPs out. Like, go to YouTube, check her out. I spent like a ridiculous amount of hours the other day just going down a rabbit hole to figure out like who and why she is. And like, she's layered. She's an artist. She dances, she acts, she sings. Anyway.
We gotta get her on Ellen. We gotta get her on Ellen. We gotta get.
You said on Ellen? That's right. And so, yeah, again, that just speaks to how good she is at portraying sort of like a two-sided character, and we don't know which side to go with, but we shall see. All right, so moving on to the hottest scene in episode 7, the elevator fight. That was the remix of Beyonce, Solange, and Jay-Z. First of all, kudos for, to whoever who had that idea. And then the second kudos is being able to execute it in a way where it doesn't look cheesy. Like, it was authentic based on the storyline. And the minute we saw it, we knew instantly.
I've seen this before.
Like, this is very familiar. And so what led up to that is Angela sees Raymond and Alex kiss in the car in the parking lot of the hospital. Teddy's inside all hooked up to a machine. Raymond is, canoodling outside with Alex. Now, granted, it wasn't his fault. It was Alex. But unfortunately, Angela sees it. And so they have this confrontation in the elevator. And it went left really, really quickly. Ro, what did you think? What did you think about that scene?
Well, we talked about this right a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She checked him. The hit across the face. I mean, you came after her kid first, and what I mean by that is, by letting Alex in to everything, Alex is just going at anyone she wants, right? No holds bars. And so she felt like, hey, I'm gonna feel a type of way. This is my family now, and now I'm tired of this. Leah's keeping her composure, but no, I'm not about that. Angela's always been real, which sometimes you got to be careful. When keeping it real goes wrong. Always remember that. but I thought in that moment, that was a real check to Raymond because I don't think Leah was going to do that, right? I don't think Leah was ever, I don't think you should hit anybody or your significant other, but I think Angela had the right to kind of just check him. Give him a good, just give him a little check.
She had the right to punch him in his face? She punched him in his face,
she punched him in the face, but hey, hear me out for 2 seconds. Number one. Okay. Hold on. Hear me out. Again, I don't agree you should punch anybody. Don't agree you should hit anybody. Always have a conversation. But if he didn't bring Alex back into the picture, would all this drama be happening? Who knows? Teddy would be all right, maybe. All the stress is building up. All these things he's got. Leah going crazy. She's like, I got one more time, and I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. So all this conflict is because of Raymond. If Raymond didn't open up, and let her back in, all this could have been prevented. So I think he just needed like a reality check. Like, hey, man, this is on you. She didn't give him a beat down. She gave him a little, hey. And then Raymond was like, yo, but what I meant to say, like, I didn't, but I did. And then, oh, man, that was the best part. When he did the typical brother, like when you get caught in something, like, yeah, but like, I did, but I didn't. No, baby, I didn't. But please, baby, please. And I was like, I was like, oh man, you ain't getting out of that. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's over.
Whew, that was a rough scene. I had mixed emotions about it, just because it involved somebody getting hit, and I always think like, damn. So they would never show a man straight clock a woman on TV like that unless it's Tyler Perry. Like Tyler Perry has shows where they actually do that. But I just thought it was interesting to show that, right? Because what does that say to the young impressionable girl? Like, all right, I could hit my man when he pisses me off, when he lies to me, or he trips me up. It's okay for me to put hands on him. So I felt some kind of ways about that, because there's a huge double standard, when it comes to men putting hands on women. I don't know that we need to promote women putting hands on men. But I do get, why that scene was set up that way. It was Angela reacting to Raymond being the catalyst of why, Alex was on national TV talking about Nate and her child and putting all their business on blast. I get it. But I feel some type of ways about that depiction. But moving forward from that was a fun scene, right? Because in Leah's mind, she's probably like, oh, snap. My sister got my back, just like Solange had Beyonce's back.
Ride or die.
Right, like she's ride or die, and she's from Boston. That's what Boston. That's how Bostonians get down, according to Angela in a previous scene. So I do appreciate the setup of that scene when Angela and Leah wanted Eve's crown, and they shared some words, and Leah actually admitted, like, all right, you from Boston, you might kick my ass, it's all good. So fast forward to the elevator scene, it all tied together beautifully, I thought. And poor Raymond, he was just a deer in headlights. What can he do? Because he doesn't even he can't fess up to everything that he's been doing and why.
Well, he does a little bit, right? And so that was tough too. I mean, think about that. And I feel for Raymond as well, because he never knew that the love of his life was bought out. He thought she was just gone and left. And so now when he understands that, he's conflicted, right? What do I do? Like, I love the best thing that happened when Alex went to kiss him. He said, hey, stop. I love my wife. So, hey, listen.
No doubt.
Give the brother some love for that, please. Give the brother some love, because that's a tough one right there. Because I know brothers be like, hey, I love her after they did the deed. So I'm just saying, he stopped her earlier. But then kind of having to digest that. Like, not only did my mom and your dad interfere, but I was also, something was taken from me that I worked hard for. And that was my baby, and that sacrifice. So there's just so many emotions of like, hey, I just want that back, and I'm good with everything else. But also there's being a dad, there's being a husband, there's just being there, right? And in the moment, and trying to understand that and being supportive. Because again, Leah isn't innocent either, right? She's been playing these games, not telling Raymond, her husband, what's going on with her father. Why can't I get into certain funds or certain things? I can't see documents and reports. What's going on? So she's been very secretive as well. So if we really want to, start it, maybe I'll take it back. So Leia was the one who started it all because she wasn't giving the information that she needed to tell her husband. And if there's a trust, that's when the trust failed then. And then that was the straw that broke the camel's back, where she opened up the door for Alex to come in. So if she was honest a long time ago and said to Raymond, hey, this is what's going on with my dad. I'm trying to figure it out, but I have you on my best interest because you are my husband. We have a family. This is what we're going to do. Then Alex doesn't come in and we have a whole boring show.
So it's Leah's fault.
Listen.
So it's Leah's fault.
Connecting the dots. I'm just connecting the dots. That's all I'm doing is connecting the dots.
No, I get it. Yeah. Listen, everybody has a secret. This would not be a fun show if there were no secrets to keep. And I feel like Teddy is keeping the biggest secret, hence why he keeps having these these sort of heart palpitations every time the truth or some version of the truth is trying to come up. And so shout out to the introduction of a new character, his brother, Lewis, played by BJ Britt, who appears to Teddy during hallucinations, right? This is post the mild heart attack. And so, we see Teddy kind of, having moments with his brother who's dead. And those conversations are interesting because we get a lot of backstory about their relationship when they were kids. Teddy was the younger brother, Lewis was the older brother, which is kind of interesting because we see the correlation between older sister, younger sister. So I thought that there were a lot of unique things about that connection and how they introduced Lewis into the picture. And then the fact that at the end of the episode, Lewis appears again, but this time he has a bullet wound. He has a gunshot wound in the middle of his head. So does that mean that Teddy killed his brother? That's what I'm thinking, right? Because Lewis said a couple of times, something along the lines of, we've all kind of suffered under the hand of Teddy, or something that alluded to Teddy being responsible for all these deaths. So what does that mean? Did Teddy actually kill his brother?
I'm not sure, but can I rewind for 2 seconds? You had a great point there, Ellen. So when Teddy meets Lewis, right, in those dreams, and he sees him and says, hey, Dad always loved you more. Now, boom, let's connect the dots again. Woo, Ellen, that was deep over there. So at the cotillion, Teddy gives a speech. And in the speech, he only talks about Angela. Leah loses it afterwards. Like, where have I been as the older, technically she was the older sister, right? And just like how Lewis felt, like, Dad always loved you. Now he's doing that same thing. He's showing love to Angela instead of Leah, who's been there the whole time. It's like, I just want you to tell me that one time. Not only did you show your love and admiration for her, but you always also apologize to her. You know how long I've been waiting for an apology? And that, I was like, damn, all right. And that's huge. So yes, you hit the nail on the head earlier to put those two together. Huge correlations in families that we don't think about sometimes. Like, I'm not gonna be like my father, I'm not gonna be like my mother. And sure enough, it skips generations and we're like, damn it, I did it.
Look at that. You're just like that man.
Yeah.
But again, we also see that Teddy, struggle. Like, he comes across, this might be the first episode where we see him come across in a very genuine way as it relates to Angela, but he's also torn. So hence the back and forth of the love, hate. And I think that has a lot to do with this big old secret that he's keeping. And I can't for the life of me figure out what the secret is.
I don't think he killed his brother, but I think he knows what happened and he had something to like do with it, but maybe it was the wrong person who got killed. And then, when Patricia comes back into town, we got to find out. We got to ask
We'll figure out. But the fact that Lewis, as many times as he popped up throughout this episode in Teddy's hallucinations, he didn't have that gunshot wound in his head. But that final scene he did, and the words that he said to his brother in that final scene, that's what led me to believe, like, oh my God, could Teddy be responsible for his father's death, be responsible for Tyreek's father's death? Like, like what's happening here? And how are Piggy and Teddy connected in this? Like, what is it? I still think that Piggy might be Angela's mama. I don't know. I'm reaching, but you just never know. This is a Lee Daniels affair. You just never know.
Sometimes, no? Ellen, I can't.
That's too much. So Rashad just actually said something pretty dope, which is very accurate. Teddy acts like he's King Lear. Absolutely, he does. I mean, to some degree, he is. He is, personality-wise, in his character.
And maybe those are all the people that got in his way to get to the top. And he was like, whatever it takes.
You gotta go. And when you think about, King Lear, like who does the king trust? Like, it's impossible to trust anyone. I feel like the only person he could trust is Leah. That's the only person that's ride or die for Teddy is Leah. However, that could change. That could change if he threatens her position in his life. That's the only thing that will make Leah switch sides. But Rashad also brought up something good earlier that I didn't get a chance to mention. He said, what I hope is if there's a season 2, we get more Angela and Leah as allies. I think those two would be a dynamic duo if they teamed up against Teddy and Raymond.
Ooh, okay, all right.
I
Look
can
at
see
you,
that.
Rashad. Yes,
right?
Yes.
Coming through once again. And Ro, you and I spoke about this earlier about the possibility of Jack coming back into the mix. Remember the white boy?
Yeah, he ain't been there since
since he kissed Leah. Right.
They just forgot about him. Like, oh man, you ain't all right.
So now that Leah has kicked Raymond out of the house, first of all, where's Raymond going? We all know Raymond is going to Alex.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that, but
he's going to the
understand. Are they on a break or not?
Well, here you go.
That's all I want to know. Are we on a break or not?
We're still married. You don't have a pass to go cheat because I kicked you out of the house for some bullshit you did.
Kanye and Kim is still married, but you see Kim hanging out with the little man from Staten Island.
No, they're divorced.
No, he said he didn't sign no papers.
I thought they were divorced.
Nope, they didn't sign no papers. That's what the man said.
He said that on Drink Champs, right? They haven't signed papers yet?
Yeah, he said, I ain't no sign of that's still my wife. I was like, well, she having some fun. Anyway, that's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole other episode. And so Rashad, like seriously, that's probably Lauren's real daddy, Jack, the white boy.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And then again, Leah's stepping out. Mm-hmm. I told you, she's the one. She's the one. She's talking. All right.
I mean, all in all, episode 7 was lit. I watched it a couple of times, and each time I just kind of felt like, whoo. You see the difference in the action that takes place from episode 1 through 6 to 7. So shout out to Joe Morton for adding his mix and his flair in this episode. So I think they won't be back for another 2 weeks in light of the holidays and all that jazz. But we will be back next week, but on Wednesday instead of Thursday, Abby, because it's Thanksgiving on Thursday. So we'll be back Wednesday. Right. And we're going to be discussing King Richard, which drops tomorrow, November 19th, on HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm excited.
In the theaters. Yeah, I'm excited. It's already getting some good reviews. Well, Will Smith, his performance is getting some good reviews, so I can't wait to see.
The kids suck. Everybody else sucks.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Every title I've seen, it's all about Will Smith's gravitas in this film. I don't know about anybody else, but all they're talking about is Will Smith. So,
okay, all right.
So we shall see. Any last words, my friend?
No. Got some crazy cases right now. The Rittenhouse case, and then the Arbery case. I mean,
that's been hard to sit through, man. That has been.
I pray for us. I pray for us. I pray for us. These are huge, monumental cases that really speak to who America really is. And so we're seeing that, and then there's certain groups. It's not black and white anymore, man. It's right in front of your face. It's blatant at this point. So this is a conversation, white, black, brown, whoever you are, you need to be having this talk. I mean, this is deep. It's definitely, it affects me. I'm watching. I'm like, did he just say that?
He did.
And I'm like, are we not? I'm talking to my lawyer friends. They're like, yo.
Yeah.
So I mean, America really has to look at themselves in the mirror right now and be like, hey, what are we going to continue to go on this disrespectful just mindset going forward? I mean, we really have to get back to loving each other and caring about each other and just really having some deep conversations. And we are better when we're stronger, together.
I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, I echo that, but I don't know that these two cases are going to be what changes.
Yeah, I just hope people do the right thing. If it doesn't go the right way, just vote. You gotta vote. We need more judges that look like us. That's what we need. We need more judges. So if you're sitting at home right now and you're thinking about getting your education, being a lawyer, doing that stuff, go to school, man. I mean, do these things because that's how you change this world, this country. We need more people that look like us because otherwise you got people like, well, the black guy, another black guy. What the hell? They don't get it. They don't get it. A jury with 11 jurors and only one person of color?
How is
that possible?
That was strategic.
In 2021, how is that possible? A peer of your own. How? So we really got to start asking ourselves, like, a lot of people say they want to do the bigger elections, but it's the smaller ones, it's the big ones. All these judges we put into power, man. That's where we always fight. Oh, I'm not voting. It does mean a lot. It means, and hopefully, sorry, my last thing, my soapbox, all the people that rushed the Capitol, I hope they're not allowed to vote anymore. I hope that's the case there because you wipe out a whole bunch of people there. So, and those slap on the arms, oh my God, 4 years. Oh, if it was people of color, they would have either been dead or gotten life. I know I can say that with a straight face. So that's another conversation we have to have. But I pray every night. Everybody be safe out there, but we definitely need a change.
I mean, there's so many things I want to respond to and talk about with that, and I'll just speak on one in regards to the Arbery case. One of the men that shot him, he was on the stand and he was being asked, was Ahmaud, was he mad? Did he say anything to you? Did he look like he was, coming at you? And all the questions was like, no, he didn't have a weapon. He didn't say anything to me. He stood where he was. But yet you felt threatened enough to shoot him. Like, what were you threatened by if this man didn't come at you? Right. And so I watched that and I felt myself starting to just feel some things I probably shouldn't be feeling.
Yeah. I hear you. I'm with you.
So it's hard to watch, but you kind of have to sit through it to just absorb just the reality of what it is. And if those men don't get what's coming to them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know at this point when you blatantly say all the and he said, it's like, what was he doing? Just running? He's like, yeah. It's like,
just that's it.
Why are we wasting taxpayers' money right now? I mean,
but because he fit the description, that's it. Because he fit the description, so that's enough for you to go off of. So there's no other thought outside of that one. That what if it's not? Yeah. And so I'd rather shoot first than deal with everything else that comes later. Like what is this world that we're living in?
Shoot first, ask questions later. That's it.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah, we probably need to have this conversation on a different platform, maybe IG Live, because we both it's going to be interesting because it's coming from a female and male perspective. So I'm interested in sort of unpacking that with you. So we'll figure that out.
All right, let me know.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you for tuning in, Rashad. Thank you again for chiming in, as always. We'll see you next week. We'll be back again Wednesday, the 24th, instead of Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. And yeah, good talk.
Always a good time. Rashad, thank you for tuning in. #1 fan. Thank you so much.
Our only fan.
Don't say that.
We love you, Rashad.
We
We love you, Rashad. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too.
Bye.
I'll see you. Bye.
Yeah.